Have you ever wondered what was the most powerful weapon that BattleKit sells? Well, the jury's still out on that one, but my vote goes to the Supra Vandal. Hey guys, hello and welcome back. As always, my name is Laser and today we're going to be discussing the Supra Vandal. With a mastery lock out of 14, this is one serious assault rifle. As such, I'm going to be assuming you already know the bare minimum, but I'm also going to be covering some of the basics. So if you're a veteran of the game, please have a little patience. And without further ado, let's jump into the Supra Vandal. Honestly, I didn't mean to make that rhyme, it just came out like that. Firstly, let's check out how the weapon handles without any sorts of mods equipped, and I'm gonna be firing straight at the wall. There's two free things to notice here. First of all, the recoil. It kinda climbs up a little bit, take a look at my cursor, and then it stabilizes at full fire rate. The second thing would be that spool up or spin up to it. The first projectile is kinda slow, but then the rest are quick to follow, so very small spin up effect there. Next will be the projectiles from the Supra Vandal. They look like energy balls, plasma balls, something like that. Now they look thick and fat, which might kinda mislead you. They're not as thick as they appear to be. So if I aim like this, it would appear that my projectiles are fat enough to catch the corner of the wall. But in reality, they don't. If I want them to catch the corner of the wall, I have to place my white dot directly on it, and now it's hitting the corner of the wall. So just don't be fooled by the graphics on the weapon, they're not that fat. Now let's jump into stats and see what we're dealing with. Accuracy is 28.6, which for an assault rifle isn't all that high. Now don't misunderstand, you're gonna do just fine with it. The Supra Vandal is a fairly accurate weapon. But if I slap on something like heavy caliber, then I'm gonna run into some accuracy issues. However, this is a subjective topic. Just slap on heavy caliber, see if you can make do with a 15.5 accuracy. For me, is a bit too low for comfort, so I'm just gonna leave it off. Crit chance is 16%, which again is not all that high, but is a whole lot better than the standard version of the Supra. Crit multiplier is 2.0, which is definitely decent. Fire rate is 12.5. Just keep in mind that this fire rate is with the full spool up effect. Magazine is 300, which is absolutely hilarious. You're gonna be able to keep shooting and shooting. It might even take you a bit of getting used to not to reload after you fire a whole lot of projectiles, if you do it like me, out of reflex. Reload is 3.0, which is a high reload time, but again, we got that mag clip of 300, so reload shouldn't really be a concern. Riven disposition 4 out of 5, which means that the rivens for this weapon are gonna be fairly potent, and status chance 30%, and this is mostly the star of the show. The status chance coupled together with the high fire rate and with a ton of bullets we're going to be putting into our target. The Supra Vandal even has its own unique augment, which gives you plus 20 base, careful on this one, base status chance. But to be honest, it's really not worth it, and considering all the other options and how much status chance we're going to be getting without it, it's simply a waste. Impact, puncture, and slash is the default damage types it does, slash being the second highest and puncture the largest amount. Now puncture does deal extra damage against certain armor types, actually no, against all armor types, so there is that to take into account. My weapon has been formatted a total of 6 times, but this is done for the purpose of testing and all whatnot. For the build I'm recommending you guys, I think you can get away with 4. So let's slap on some mods. Damage, as per the usual, is gonna be the first thing we slap on with serration, and again, heavy caliber is gonna come down to you guys if you are comfortable or not with the resulting accuracy. Next, multi-shot. The best thing on assault rifles, multi-shot. 90% multi-shot for split chamber, and we're not gonna stop there, we're also gonna be adding vigilante armaments. When talking about vigilante armaments, the set bonus must always be taken at least a little bit into account. 5% chance to enhance critical hits from primary weapons. But given that I have a 16% base crit chance, is not really gonna proc all that much. However, we do have that awesome fire rate and the mag clip, so you will be seeing some of those crit amplifications. In any case, since we are talking crit, let's amplify the crit chance with point strike, and that will bring it up to 40%, which will give us just a little bit more out of vigilante armaments. But by all intents and purposes, please do not base your decision on the set bonus alone. Now that we got, well, let's call it a decent crit chance at 40%, we're gonna amplify the crit damage with Vital Sense, and that's gonna make our critical multiplier jump to 4.4. There's another important thing we should notice though. Because of the multi-shot we slapped on, our status chance jumped to 59% without any 60-60 mod and without the augment as well. Next, let's further amplify that damage with elemental damage types. And again, elemental damage types should be swapped in and out depending on where you're going and who you're fighting. we're gonna be taking the example of the toughest targets in Warframe, which are the Grenier. Now these guys have a couple of types of armor on them. The toughest is ferrite, and ferrite armor takes 75% extra damage against corrosive, which is the combination of electricity and toxin. We're gonna be slapping on the 90 mods. Like I said before, I don't believe this weapon needs the extra status chance considering the fire rate, the amount of bullets, and you're gonna see in practice how beautifully it works. I have tested with both 60, 60, 90 and all of the possible combinations. Now, since we got our electricity, let's slap on infected clip for toxin. We made 477 corrosive damage. The last mod slot is what I like to call an option slot, and this is gonna come down to you. I know that some of you like to use Argon Scope a lot. Now Argon Scope will prove a good DPS increase. We're gonna get another 145% crit chance, which will make our crit chance jump to something, I think something like 65, 70, something like that. However, in testing, the best thing you can do is further amplify your elemental damage type, again, depending on what you wanna build. Is it radiation, magnetic, gas, and so on and so forth? In our case, we built corrosive, so to get even more corrosive out of the weapon, I'm either gonna need more toxin or more electricity. And for the sake of using the cheaper option, Malignant Force is gonna be the 60-60 mod for toxin. If you don't have this one, it drops from Corrupted Vor in the Void. If not, go to the trade chat, want to buy Malignant Force, 15 plat and no more. Now, our corrosive damage jumped up to 636%, and again, this will get amplified if you're firing against ferrite, which is the whole point. And our status chance jumped up to a whopping 80.5% with a single 60-60 mod on and a whole lot of multi-shot. And this will be our base build. Let's test it out and see if it's got some punch on it or not. We're gonna simulate a 115 level heavy gunner, corrupted heavy gunner, so more health and armor than normal ones. And let's see how much time, look at that. It took 25 bullets, 24 bullets to kill off one of these guys. And of course we're going for headshots. Now here's a note, because the AI is bots, they do not take more damage from Warframe abilities and or range attacks. Now these guys can take additional damage from melee shots, so keep that one in mind. And look at that, I'm reloading out of reflex, but you don't really need to. And as you can see, the weapon is able to shred through these guys with no problem at all. We are getting loads of applications of the corrosive, so extra status chance would, to be honest, kind of be a waste, so there's that to take into account. Now I heard that the Supra Vandal was a kick-ass weapon, but honestly I wasn't expecting this level of performance from it. It is absolutely amazing. And this will be our base build, and this is what I'm recommending to you guys if you're just starting off with the weapon. These are fairly cheap mods, something that anybody can get into, and you can get away with only 4 Forma. If you guys want to play around with hunter munitions and try to make it do more crit and all whatnot and slashes, that wouldn't be like the most horrible idea in the world. However, without a Riven to amplify that critical chance, it's simply not gonna be as effective as a full-blown elemental build. Now, speaking of Rivens, let's switch to my Riven setup. Now, I did manage to buy this one 110 flat, and it was like rolled 10 times, something like that, and I rolled it till I got sick of Kuva again. But in any case, 190% damage, 103% heat, 102% status chance, and minus 36.5 damage to Corpus. And this is the best I could get, and I'm gonna stop now before I lose what's left of my sanity. Other than that, the build is pretty much the same. I swapped out the 60-60 mod for the Riven, and that's all. Status chance jumped up to 90%, and of course our corrosive damage now is a bit higher at 819 because of the default extra damage from the Riven. So let's test it out and see what kind of a difference does a Riven make. Again, this is a Dispo 4 weapon, so the Rivens are fairly powerful. I would have loved to test something like crit chance, crit damage with this thing and make it into a slash. Now as you can see, these guys are burning. Oh no, burning because of the heat we got now, but our corrosive is still the highest. Now you might not notice a difference until you like try to count bullets and all whatnot, but the thing is, it's about 15% better than without the Riven. And you guys can get loads better Rivens than this. If you get an elemental damage type on your weapon, try to get like you could choose electricity, because that one is by far the most versatile. And of course, if you get something like crit chance, crit damage, I mean, I wouldn't reroll it, even though it's not ideal for this weapon if you think about it. But with damage and multi-shot, you can never really go wrong. So with the Riven, it's about 15% more effective, and yes, it does make a difference. However, now that we got everything that's important out of the way, let's try to have a little bit of fun. I think we earned it, at least after a night in Kuva. I'm gonna be picking up Mirage Prime, and I have Rifle Lamp, 27% extra rifle damage. Now this is stackable and it's party wide. As for arcanes, we got a selection of two. Firstly, Arcane Rage on headshot, 10% chance for plus 120% damage to rifles for 16 seconds, and you're gonna get very good uptime out of this one. And the second one I believe to be mandatory for the Supra Vandal. Honestly, if you like the Supra, please get this one. You're gonna love it. Arcane Acceleration on critical hit, 20% chance for plus 60 fire rate to rifles for 6 seconds. Every time I see a weapon with a huge clip, I think, how can I unload that faster to increase my DPS? And Arcane Acceleration is gonna be one hell of a way to do that. So let's respawn the exact same targets, and we're not gonna stop there. We're gonna activate Mirage's clones and her third ability for a whopping 420% extra damage and go to town. Look at that. Look at that. Absolute carnage. I'm going through these things like they were nothing. What a weapon this is, honestly. What did you do, DE? Are you sure it's okay to have this much firepower? Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. It's a bit true. There are other... Wow. Seriously. There are other powerful rifles in this game, but I simply love the Supra Vandal. And it's such a simple weapon too. I don't even need to go for headshots. I can go for body shots and I'm absolutely wrecking my targets. Plenty of status, plenty of damage, fire rate. What more can you ask for? And if there ever was an endgame rifle, then this has to be it. And that's gonna do it for this build guide. Hopefully you have everything you need now to build your Supra Vandal. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. If you got any feedback for me or would like to request a specific weapon review, then by all means leave it in the comment section down below. I can't honestly promise you that, listen, next time it's gonna be done, but I will read through each and every comment. Bye guys, see you next time.